this is the rest workshop. Now, rest is like the last, the RHIGHER. Rest is although the last word in the word higher, but I personally feel that it is the foundation of which we honor, we have integrity, we learn to be generous, we are humble and be excellent in what we do. But without this foundational rest, we will always be striving. We will always be not so tired and just trying to live that higher life. So I think we have chosen the correct workshop to be in. So this is rest. Okay, so now, what is rest then? What is rest? I'm just wondering what comes to your mind when we talk about rest. Just now we tried the annotate function. So right now, if you could go up to your top screen, and if there is more, you press more. If you can see annotate, you click on annotate. Or if you can see view options, you click on view options, and there will drop down an annotate function. So what I like you to do, you can either type or you can write. Okay, what comes to your mind when we talk about rest? Okay, so let's start. I'm gonna just give us like maybe 2 seconds to do this. Okay, sleep. Oh, of course. Yes. Please, getting recharged. Wait, come on, more. Doing something you love, absolutely. Fabulous. Letting go. Okay, I think that's the theme song for this workshop. Now, let it go, let it go. Okay, 2 seconds more. Any more? Meantime, do nothing. All right. Nice one. Okay, thank you for all your participation. I'm going to clear screen, okay? Please don't be offended. I'm going to clear screen. It's not my screen very messy. Clear all. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. Oh, let me clear some more. Okay. So according to Oxford Languages, this is the definition of rest. Cease work or in movement in order to relax, sleep, or recover strength. So is this what it's supposed to be? Don't do anything every day, just stay at home, be on the sofa and not do anything. I really think this is not how what we're trying to achieve here is. It's not really not do anything, but maybe let's take a look at how God rested. Okay, in Genesis chapter 1, we read of God creating the world in 6 days. Okay, but in Genesis 2, we know that he rested. He worked. He created the world in 6 days, and then on the 7th day, he rested from all his work. He stopped working from all that. So if I could suggest and put before everyone here that rest is not the absence of any work, but it is the rest that comes after our work is done. So it's like after excellence, like how we put HIGHER. After excellence, we rest. So it is the knowledge that when we have done all that we have, all that we can, and then we leave the outcome, the result, into God's hands. So it is really a trusting kind of rest, a sense of restedness that we have done our best, and whatever the result, we're going to leave it into God, who is sovereign, who is always in control. So I'll give you an analogy. It's like mailing a parcel to a friend across the globe. Okay, I would have to find a box. I would have to fill it up with all the things that my friends like and all that. So I have to go probably different places. And finally, I have to bring the box to the post office, make sure I got the address on correctly. If not, I'm not going to be sure who's going to receive it. So you see, it's a lot of work just to get something sent out. But when I'm at a post office, I leave it at the counter. I've done whatever I could, and really there's nothing else I could do. Of course, nowadays we could track, parcel track and all that, but really there's really nothing we could do, but only trust that the post office is going to get that parcel to her. So again, rest is not the absence of any work, but it is the rest that comes after our work is done. It is about trusting in a God who is sovereign over all things. So having learned what this rest is, the next question is how? How do we enter that rest? So let's look at Matthew 11:28. It says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So from here, we can see that this rest can only come from God. So if rest can only come from God, who do we go to for that rest? We go to God. So we go to God. Yeah, it's quite cliche, go to God. But what does it mean to go to God? How do we go to God? Who is this God we are talking about? So in order for us to go to God to get that rest, we need to know who this God is. So, and one of the ways, or one of the best ways to know who this God is, his nature, his character, is really through Bible reading, like our Encounter Journal. So when we know this God, then we are more confident of his character, of his nature, and then it is easier to enter into that rest when we go to him. Okay? So knowing God intellectually with all that Bible reading is not enough, actually, because it needs to move from here in the mind to here in the heart. We need to cultivate, and in order to do that, we need to cultivate this relationship that we have with God. Okay, so at this point, probably some of us will be thinking, wow, this rest is really something not easy to achieve, especially in Singapore context. You know, if you're thinking this way, I kind of agree with you, because entering this rest takes intentionality. Okay, so I'm going to show you Hebrews 4:11, which is the anchoring verse for this value rest that the church has adopted. Okay, so it reads, "Let us therefore strive to enter that rest, so that no one may fall by the same sort of disobedience." Strive, make great effort to enter that rest. To me, it's quite a paradox, isn't it? I mean, you have to strive to enter that rest. So this really suggests to me that it's not easy, especially nowadays when work from home is the default working mode. Therefore, the line between work and leisure can be blurred, very blurred sometimes. And if you're anything like me, I find it very difficult to rest, very difficult to let go, because I'm almost like a control freak. I need to know the outcome. I need to make sure I can see the consequence, the outcome, the result of all the work that all the efforts that I've put in. But I must say that I'm slowly entering deeper into that rest and gotten better along the years of knowing who this God is. But it is something that is not that easy to go into. So what I found helpful for myself is to be able to set boundaries for myself, boundaries between work, and then be very intentional in planning for a time or making that time to rest. So entering rest is intentional. So if we do not plan for rest, rest may not happen. So we're going to go into some practical activities right now, like how do we intentionally schedule rest into our lives, so that our bodies can can rest, our minds take off work, and how do we improve our mental well-being and strengthen our emotional resilience. I will talk about these two aspects in a while. Okay, but before we do that, I'm going to do a little quick poll here. And so that we roughly know this group of people here, about 50 over 60 of us here, how healthy are we are, in terms of rest. Okay, so let me stop share for a while. And I'm going to pull out a poll. Okay, so here we go. Okay, can you see the results? Can you see? Okay, so majority here, about 33 of us, have got 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and average hours of exercise, not too bad, pretty impressive. 3 to 5 hours is the majority. And then screen time, wow, let's see, 5 to 7. 5 to 7, that's me actually. But okay, thank you all for sharing. So I'm going to stop share and move back to my screen, yeah? Okay. Okay, so thank you all for participating in that very short poll. Now, I guess the main problem for most people here, or most people generally, is no time. Why don't you go for a jog? No time. Why do you go and relax? I've got no time. I'm too busy. Or maybe sometimes it is a matter of we don't know how to set boundaries for our time. Every Sunday, my phone will send me this notification about how much screen time I have spent on the average for the past week. And yeah, it can be quite embarrassing, It's how much time have I spent on my phone? So maybe a good start for us is to identify for ourselves what are some activities that are like time wasters. We're spending way too much time on such activities that are actually not very helpful to our mental well-being, neither is it helping us build emotional resilience. Now, what are these two things that we are talking about? Mental well-being. Okay, your brain is powerful. It's a powerful and a complex organ. It determines your physical health, actually. So we need to learn how to build, strengthen our mental well-being. So I'm going to share 10 tips here on mental well-being. Actually, all these pointers are taken from healthhub.sg. You can see the little link at the bottom. Okay, so I didn't come up with this. I'm no expert. I learned from Google a lot. So it says the first thing that we need is get sufficient sleep. So what is sufficient sleep? Sufficient sleep is, according to Health Hub, is 7 hours of sleep. So I think the majority of us here are doing quite well. Okay, 7 hours of sleep. Number 2, we have a healthy diet. We're not talking about losing weight here, okay? We're talking about maintaining a healthy gut, make sure we eat the correct foods, the different colors, so that our gut is healthy. And when our gut is healthy, we feel better, our mental well-being gets strengthened as well, okay? And then maintain an active, healthy lifestyle. I'm glad to note just now from the poll that actually a majority of us here have got quite good hours of exercise. But actually, according to the Health Hub, it is an average of 150 minutes per week. So if we exercise 30 minutes per time, thank you. All right. So maintaining a active lifestyle, I so suggested is 150 minutes per week. Sounds like a lot. That's my target. Okay. So next one, interact and socialize. So I think as humans, we are not created to live on our own. So we need our CGs, we need our families and support groups. Yeah, I need to move a little bit faster because there are lots of other interesting things that you need to do later. So pick up a new skill or a hobby. Lately, I picked up crocheting and I love it. That's how I relax actually. Okay, so this is something that stimulates the brain. Okay, and then engage in mental workout. Now, what's that? I would think this would be playing games like your word puzzles, your Sudoku, or even maybe Mahjong. I don't know whether I'm allowed to say that, but yeah, a game that stimulates the brain. okay? Or doing something for others. Because when we do something for others, we feel empowered. We feel good. When we do something for others, we feel good, and that helps strengthen our mental well-being. And we have to also learn how do we reduce stress. Stress is always there, but how do we reduce stress? Maybe learn how to do a to-do list. How do I see problems as opportunity? Okay, avoid vices. I think this one we all sure don't have one. We don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't do drugs, so avoid all that. I think we're all good here. No need to elaborate. Okay, and of course, number 10, we laugh. It's very interesting. We laugh because when we laugh, we take in a lot of oxygen, and oxygen is good for the brain. Okay, it makes us feel good. Okay, so these are your 10 tips on how we can build this mental well-being. Now, the next part I'm going to go into will be emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to bounce back into it. A bounce back, we can face many extreme difficulties in life. It could be a death in the family, a loss of job, a loss of income. And what is our emotional resilience? Are we able to bounce back quickly? And how do we build this up? Again, these 6 tips are from Health Hub. Okay, so, and you would see that quite a number of these things are repeated, like what we learned at mental well-being. Okay, so the first one, again, make connections. We can't survive alone. We need family support. We need CGs. We need to do things together. Okay, learn optimism. So we got to choose to be positive. We got to know that bad times will last. And for example, this pandemic, it will soon pass. We need to always hope, be positive, have a positive outlook on things. Okay, develop a healthy self-esteem. This part, I feel the best way to go about this is read the Bible. Know who you are and who you are. You are a child of God. Wow. Win already, so develop our self-esteem. What are our strengths? Recall all your past accomplishments and help develop that self-esteem. Okay. Number 4, look for meaning in experiences. In my dictionary or in my journal, there are no such thing as bad experiences, but I always label these experiences as growth, growth possibilities, where I can learn something from this, okay? And learn to manage strong feelings. Very angry. I mean, as a teacher, I get angry a lot. And how do I learn to manage such strong feelings? I've learned to don't say anything, count to 10. That's the basic thing, but it works beautifully. So how do we walk away from strong feelings until we're ready to approach them and deal with them? Okay, and no prize for getting number 6. Again, it is laugh. So really, laugh more, people. Okay, look for humor in everyday living. Maybe just want to share something here. Recently, my brother passed away, but throughout this whole time when he was sick and all that, he was funny. He found humor in a lot of things. When people started visiting him, and if it's his meal time, he would say, "Oh, you came at the right time. This is feeding time, at the zoo," or something like that. So he was able to find humor, and that is part of emotional resilience. Okay, so these are very quick 16 tips. Okay, now what are practical steps? This comes the interesting part. Okay, there are 3 steps. Okay, so first step, we need to identify our source of stress. We all have stress. If you don't have stress, please give me your number. I need to speak with you. Okay, so identify your source of stress, and then we need to plan our rest pockets. Like I said earlier, if we don't plan for rest may not happen. And I think step 3 is what this whole workshop is all about. It is about intentional surrender, to rest, to let it go, into God's hands and let the result be His. So now all this will be, wow, so much sharing. I can't even take the notes fast enough. So no worries. Valentia's going to help you in the next step. She's going to help you massage these 3 steps into your life. Okay. So I'm going to stop share. I'm going to pass the time over to Valencia. Okay. Over to you, Val.
Thank you, Ross. So if you can follow my slides, then these are what we need. First, we'll need a piece of A4 size paper, which I hope everybody has it. Yes. And then a ruler, which you can use, or you don't have to if you want to go freehand. And then some color pens or color pencils for you to draw on. So what I'll need you to do next is to pick 4 colors from whatever you have. So the first color will be the color that makes you think of strength. The second color will be the color that you least like. And then the third color will be the color that makes you feel very calm just by looking at it. And the last color will be your favorite color. Are you following? Okay, so now what I'll need you to do is to draw a border, which is around 2 cm away from the edge of the A4 size paper. Doesn't have to be exactly 2 cm. And using the color which makes you think of strength. Okay. Next, I'll need you to divide the rectangle which you have just drawn into 3 parts using the same color which represents strength. Okay, so around the space outside the border, just do some crisscross lines. The gap can be big or small depending on how much time you have and how quick you draw. We'll move on to the next part, which is to write the word sauce using your least favorite color. Starting from the left column. And then below the word sauce, you can write the word identify in whatever color you like. So move on to the next column. You write the word rest in the color which makes you feel really calm. And then the word action below it. And then for the last column, you write the word providence using your favorite color and the word trust below it. Okay, the first window, okay, this is just an example of what you can do. You can draw if you like, you can write, you can scribble, you can do whatever you like with whatever color you like. But for me, I use back the same color which I least like. So what I need you to do is to identify the source of your inability to rest. What is stopping you from having the rest which you need? Okay, later I'll give you some time to fill in the blank. So right now what I'll do is I'll just go through the whole thing. So the second part will be the things you really would like to do when you're resting, or you really want to do but doesn't have time to do yet, using the same color, which is the color rest. And then the last box, just think about God's providence, like how good God has been, and then like what will you think when you're having like challenges, and those times when you go to God, you know, okay. So after all this is done, I'll now give you time to start doing your thinking process and to fill in the blanks. This is the drawings which you have done. If you can look at your own drawings, okay, you'll see that, okay, let's start with this. what exactly is this crisscross, netting outside the border? Okay, that is like the big environment we are in, which is totally out of our control. There are things we can control, but there are things we can't. And that is the part where, which is outside the border, which we can't control. And so whatever that is not within our control, we call it the big environment, just like the pandemic we're going through now is not within our control. But, okay, I can't really see can you see? Because my screen is blocked by a lot of things. So I'll call this the safety net of God, right? So whatever that is not within our control, we believe that God is always there. The safety net is always there to protect us. And we draw all these borders with the colors, which reminds us of strength. That represents the boundary you need to set. Of course, it's the healthy boundary lines. And then we begin by identifying the source. So at least we know what is causing our inability to rest, what is stopping us from resting. And then we move on to the rest part, which is the action plan. So we need to have a plan. Like what Ross said, we need to work towards achieving rest and do it intentionally. So at least we now know what are the activities that will help us to achieve rest. And then the last column will be the column where you think about God's providence and focus on God, God's word, God's promise. Give thanks daily and trust that God is in control of everything. So once we are done with that, okay, then we move on to this slide. So I found this quote in Google, which I find very meaningful. So it says, I can rest in the fact that God is in control, which also means I can face things that are out of my control and not act out of control, all because God is in control. So the first thing we did was to identify the source of our inability to find rest. And then the second part, we work out the action plan to help us to work towards achieving rest. And just like what the Bible said, we need to strive to enter the rest, and just like what Ross said as well. And then the third part is to set healthy boundaries and commit our action plan to God, and trust that His providence, and then we can rest confidently in His safety net. So if you look at this whole as a picture, you realize that every part is interlinked. So you can't just skip one step and achieve the rest you want. And then you have to consciously, with self-awareness, really go through the cycle and try to achieve the rest you needed. So with this, I will close the workshop part. Yeah, so we don't have a lot of time for you to do all the drawings and all that, but in your own free time, feel free to just draw out the chart again and then write down all the things that you want to achieve so that you can find rest. Stick it somewhere so you can keep referring it to it. You can keep referring it to remind you that, how you can achieve the rest you wanted.
I really hope that you all enjoy yourself, because it's not enough time. I was jumping from room to room, finding out how are you all doing, but you all really miss each other so much, all that sharing that went forth. Really, really, tahan, it will soon be over. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we managed to massage this 3 steps, and thank you, Val, for bringing us through this. So as a wrap up, I want to show us 2 birds, okay? Show us 2 birds. First, let us look at this bird, the duck. If I can get the duck out. Okay, here we go. Look at the ducky. So you see on the surface, the duck is I've got it all together, but actually under the water are paddling like crazy just to stay afloat, So really this video, this very short video, is just to show us that, sometimes many of us really try to look good on the outside, on the surface. We're okay, we're doing fine, but actually below, under the waters, we are like paddling like crazy, trying to stay afloat in society and all that. So my friends, let us strive, not strive to appear good on the not on the outside, but frantically paddling below, but let us strive to enter that rest that only this God can give. This morning we've shared many ways, practical ways, how we can build our mental well-being, how we can strengthen our emotional resilience, how we can set boundaries. Val brought us through how we set boundaries, how we plan, how to intentionally put rest pockets into even daily, So we need to remember that this rest can only come from God. Okay, so we need to still have this daily quiet time with Him, build up this relationship with Him, so that the more we know Him, the more we know how faithful He is, the more we can rest, the more of a state of restedness that we can get into. So only then we can live this higher life that God has called His believers to. So I'm going to show you another bird, okay? No, not this one. Maybe. Say hello, welcome to here. Sorry. Okay, this one. Okay, so wow, look at that eagle. He is still working his wings, just to catch that draft. Catch that draft and continues to soar. So I guess maybe looking at these two birds, let's decide, do we want to be duck or do we want to be an eagle? I want to be an eagle. Okay, and looking at this eagle reminds me of Isaiah 40. Okay, it reminds me of Isaiah 40, which says, but they who wait for the Lord, and this waiting involves resting. Okay, wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So we need to be constantly reminding ourselves that sometimes the most productive thing that you can do is rest. Doesn't mean we do all the time. We're going to be successful and all that. But really, sometimes resting is more productive than keep working. Okay, so let's go and take a bio break, stretch break, and then see you all later. Okay, bye.